If you dig the twisted, admire the outlandish, and are enamored by the unusual, you're in the right place. True crime, the supernatural, the unexplained, now you're speaking our language. If you agree, join us as we dive into the darker side. You know, because it's more fun over here. Welcome to Total Conundrum.
Warning, some listeners may find the following content disturbing. Listener discretion is advised. Ha 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 ha.
Hey, Conundrum Crew, we have a special treat for you today. We have a special guest, David Oman, owner of the Oman House in California, built right next door to where the Manson family had murdered Sharon Tate and the others. And David, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you two doing?
We're good.
Great. We're very excited to have you. And
Me on. More importantly.
oh, of course, we're very excited. Can you let our listeners know, for anybody that might not be very familiar with your story, how did you end up living just feet away from one of the most infamous crime scenes in Hollywood history?
Well, about 26 years ago in 27 years ago in late 1998, my dad reached out to me on a Sunday morning at about 8:00 and said, "David, I found something in the paper." And I'm like, "Dad, it's Sunday morning at 8:00. He goes, "I found a listing for a piece of real estate in Beverly Hills, and it's $40,000. And these are the days before the internet. So, I mean, the internet might have existed, but there was still it hadn't been proliferated like it isn't today. So there wasn't Google. So he was looking through the Los Angeles Times calendar site. It was classified section. So he found the listing. I said, "Dad, does it read 40K?" And he goes, "Yes." I said, "Dad, it's a misprint. It's probably 400K and they misprint a zero." And he goes, "It's a foreclosure." And I said, "Okay, fine. I'm up. All right, fine. I'm not going to get him off the phone. I might as well humor him." I get out my Thomas guide because, again, this is before Google Maps. We had a little map guidebook, and I look it up and I'm like, okay, it's just about a mile south of where my godfather lived, up the street off of Benedict's Canyon. So I drive up here and I brought my two dogs and I get out of the car and I start looking around. And all of a sudden I look down the street and I realize that's where the Sharon Tate murders had taken place. And I'm like, going, "Oh my God." But I said, it's under construction because you can see there's a chain link fence and there's just, the street pavement goes and it stops and then it's all broken up. And then you can see there's all this construction work going on. I'm going, "Oh my God, I haven't been here in like 98, in about 20 years, less than 20 years, like 16 years. And I'm like, I don't believe this. This is unreal." And my dad drives up. My dad is 82 years old at the time, driving his 1998 Firebird Trans Am.
Oh,
And
nice.
my dad was like, 82. It's like, yeah, my dad looked like he was like 60 and he was pissing vinegar. He was like, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, Dad," I said, "that's where the Sharon Tate murders took place down the street." And he goes, "I don't care about that. We're here to look at this freaking lot." He goes, "Focus, focus. This is what you're here to do. This is what's wrong with you. You can't pay attention." And I'm like, "Okay, Pop." So I'm looking down there. I'm like, "Oh my God." He goes, it's an empty, it's all just a hillside." I said, "Do I see things sticking out of the ground like rebar?" And he goes, "Because that looks like rebar." He goes, "Yeah, it looks like somebody started building here and they got stopped. And for whatever reason, this is now a foreclosure." So I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy." He goes, "And if that rebar is there, that means that there are caissons, which are basically holes in the ground that go, drill holes that go in about 30 feet that are then reinforced with rebar, which again is steel, basically steel, thick wiring that is put down there that is then connected and it's made and reinforced. What they pour is concrete in there, so it reinforces this thing called a caisson." And he goes, "Those caissons are good. That's like another $100,000 that you get as far as the value of the property, the improvements." I'm going, "What do you mean?" He goes, "If there's caissons and there's rebar, you don't have to get a drill rig. You don't have to get the soil engineer and do all this extra stuff. It's already done to you. That saves you $100,000 on building. It's like, so he
Wow.
looks it up, and apparently some 20 years earlier, some 20, like 15 years earlier, somebody was building on the property and they got stopped by the city. And the city stopped them and halted them. And he looked it up in the, what is it, the CCRs at the Building and Safety Commission or Department, and it read that somewhere between 1970 and 1978, that they changed the designation of the street from private drive to private street. And he says, I can't see where in the lines, the legal lines, where this was done, an application was made to change the street designation. It looks like it was a clerical error.
Wow.
And the guy was halted. I said, what the hell is the difference between private street and private drive? He goes, private drive, the private street, the city has certain specifications, like it has to be 20 feet wide, which is wide enough for 2 cars to pass with a parked car on one side of the street. Plus, it has to have a 38-foot turnaround spot for emergency vehicles such as fire trucks.
Okay.
And the city brings up the utilities, the electricity, the sewer lines, and all up to the street. The street then has a paved surface, which is maintained by the city, and it has a legal speed limit. I said, okay. He goes, a private drive, which is what this was and was originally, means it can be as narrow or as wide as it can, as you want.
Okay.
You have to bring up the utilities, the sewer lines, and all the other stuff from the main street up to the property.
Okay.
You have no speed limit because it's private, just like a motor speedway, and you have to maintain the street surfaces yourself. The city is not responsible for the improvements of the streets.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to have a 38-foot wide turnaround. And he says it's what this was originally to be. So I went and I bought the property under the designation that we could have the city, we petitioned for it to be returned back to the designation of private drive, which means you can build on it. So It turns out they petitioned. He found out we bought the lot for $40,000. We petitioned, we got the city to overturn it. We could then build on the property. The caissons were good. We had them tested. They were, had one tested. It was fine. The concrete was still good. And we spent the next 3.5, 4 years building the house here. From
Wow.
99 to today, 2002, I moved in on August 30th.
Wow.
So it's been 23 years ago. Today's the anniversary. I totally forgot that. I'm sorry, spirits.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, spirits. It's been wonderful.
How do you describe the energy of the Oman House to someone who's never set foot inside?
That would, I'm stuttering and thinking about it because that would depend upon when you're visiting, meaning
Okay.
depending upon who comes in, not the time of the year, not the time of the night, but who all is coming in the house. Because as I've noticed, me, myself, and I, by the three of us alone here, there's not a lot of unpredictability. Stuff happens, but it's very, very sporadic. I consider it like a chemistry set. When different people come in the house, you're bringing in different energies that are around each and every person. So the dynamic is always changing. And sometimes somebody comes in and their guardian angel or their spirit around them is really active, and they cross the threshold and they realize they go through what I call the reptile effect, which is reptiles are cold-blooded. When they're in a cold environment, they're sluggish. When you put them in a warm environment, they become active because
Okay.
the warmth of the room or the heat of the air basically warms them up and gets their blood flowing. Same thing could be said for the house here. When people come in the house, everybody's like, oh, it's Sharon Tate. I want to see Sharon Tate. And I said, what's in it for them? Nobody, and everybody's in the ego, me, 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 me. I want. And the spirits get not a moment of second thought. And I go, what's in it for them? And I've only seen a few occasions where Sharon's spirits or one of the spirits from the victims has manifested here at the house. Most of the time, it's somebody connected directly to the person that is there interacting with the spirit that is connected to them personally. Because as I like to say, the shortest distance between a human and a spirit is the connection that they had when both of them were alive.
Okay.
If you don't know Sharon, what's her motivation or desire or drive to say, hi, I'm here. See, you're my greatest fan. So what's it like to be my biggest fan? It just doesn't work like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet what we've had here is we've recorded a spirit once during a séance where we heard a man's voice say, let it go, mija. Whispery voice on all 3 digital recorders and on the video recorder that was shooting the video of the séance. And I was like, oh my God, I said, I heard that. And so we stopped the séance and we played the 1 recorder and you heard it, the 2nd, the 3rd. And then I said to the videographer, I said, what do you have? Rack it back up. I said, what do you catch? He goes, I hear the same freaking whispery voice of a man saying, let it go, mija. And then a girl at the end of the table next to one of the psychics afterwards said, that was my dad. He died 4 years ago of cancer.
Wow.
I've not been able to go on with my life since he died.
Wow.
And I'm like, holy crap.
So would you say that you think there's like an open portal? What was that?
The dead,
Oh,
that's the dead bell that just went off. The first time it's gone off today. Yeah,
that's awesome.
that's great. Thanks, spirits. I've got the dead bell on. I got the REM pod on. I've got the cat toy and the other cat toy.
Thank you, spirits.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I hate to catch you out of the frame, but I'm not going to be able to keep you in frame. Sorry, I can't help it. Fine. I heard you. Bitchy. There you go. Please. But I was going to say, is this funny? All right, so you were saying then about the house.
Oh yeah. Would you say that it's kind of like a portal that spirits can come and go from there, or is there specific spirits that are there all the time?
Well,
Or
I'll defer. I'll defer to the overall, and then I'll defer to the specifics. The first person I'll defer to on the overall would be Marianne Winkowski, the real life ghost whisperer. I met her a number of years ago. It's got to be over 10 plus years ago when she was working on Ghost Whisperer over in, she was at the Universal Hotel. She and I had spoken several times. I went to meet her because she couldn't take off to come from the hotel to come to the house. There wasn't enough time. So we met, we talked, and she goes, oh, sweetheart, she goes, your house is a portal. She goes, you have a revolving door at the front of the house. She goes, I can clear. I said, but could you clear it? She goes, oh, I could clear it, but in 10 minutes, the whole place will be loaded with new spirits. And I'm like going, she goes, yeah, unless you're bothered by it. It's like, no. She goes, otherwise it's all good. I said, yeah, I've never had a problem here at all. It's not harmful or bothersome. She goes, well, that's fine, honey. She goes, they're not there to bother you. The second person I'll defer to, and I'm going to have to go over to read from the article from 20 years ago from the Daily Express. Maybe it's 50. I'll give you the specifics on when that was written. 2009. Okay. So it's 16 years. All right. So 16 years ago on the anniversary of the murders, there was an article in the Sunday Daily Express in the UK. Lisa Williams, the famous English psychic you guys have heard of, I'm sure, came here after the airing of the show Ghost Hunters. She called me up, or she emailed me, and she says, I want to see your house. I'd love to check it out. I saw you in Ghost Hunters. And I'm like, I said, who is this? And it's like, it's Lisa Williams. I said, oh, coincidentally, she had been here a couple of months earlier with her camera crew because my neighbors at the very bottom house called me up afterwards, and she goes, oh, Lisa Williams, this English psychic, was down the street at the bottom of the driveway shooting some video there for her show, she said, because I went down and asked them what they were doing. And she introduced herself, and I said, oh, okay. And I said, if you want to come to the house, this is not for the show. I said, that's a totally separate thing. If you want to see it, she goes, no, I want to see it for my own personal curiosity.
Right.
So she was here in 2007. So what I want to read from you is this article, an excerpt of the article where she explains why it is she believes Sharon's spirit's in the house. Because when it comes to me, the skeptics and the naysayers all crap all over me. So I hate to take any kind of responsibility for what's going on and explaining what I believe, because if I do so, then it's me. And it's you're trying to push this agenda. You're holding Sharon against her wishes. You should send her into the light. And it's like, guys, I am none of the above. I am not holding her against her wishes. And this pretty much explained it in a nice paragraph so that the audience could basically understand why it is that, if I wanted to, I couldn't, because you cannot enslave a spirit. They're
Right.
not enslavable, I hate to say. It's not like I have the power. And that goes even further to say I don't believe anything that a human being can say, do, or think can contain a spirit, let
Right.
alone salt, circle, and stuff, and speaking in Latin and speaking in biblical terms. It's like, well, what if the spirit died before the gosh darn Bible was written? What you gonna do then? I mean, there's so many things that I just find so quintessentially absurd about the myths of the paranormal, because it's like you believe in demons, but you don't believe in ghosts. Oh, it's like I hear people say this stuff, and it's like, no, they're lying to you. And it's like, no, you don't get it. When you die, you leave everything behind, not just the money. You leave the ego behind. The essence of you will continue on, but ego is not part of the essence of you. That means that you can be an egocentric good person. You can also be an egocentric bad person. My point is that the essence that remains is the good or the bad, not the ego.
Okay.
So the idea that there's a motivation for a spirit to lie to you, I go, they have no skin in the game. They lost their bones and their gosh darn flesh rotted in the ground.
Right.
I just don't buy it, and I find that it's so disingenuous. God, talk about a scapegoat. Where are you going there, kid? Back to what I was saying. I want to read this because it's not me saying anything. It's somebody,
Right.
person who's a valued, respected, paranormal, psychic, gifted person who doesn't have any credibility issues like the Warrens. She's never been called out like Uri Geller as being a fraud. And when you've got that going for you, I think that stands and holds much more credibility and water than having a bunch of series of motion pictures and franchises born out of your stupid, gosh darn pedantic books that you wrote, that you were proven to be a fraud some 40 years ago plus. And some schmuck in gosh darn Warner Brothers picked up a book of yours and said, hey, this piece of crap's not bad. We could make this into a movie. So you have the Amityville Horror, which indirectly is part of them, because they latched on to that when they saw there was money there. And then you have the Nun, and then you have the Conjuring House, then you have Annabelle, then you have Conjuring House Last Rites. I keep on seeing the trailers to that, and I keep on laughing my ass off. Some people believe that stuff's actually legitimately true, incredible.
Well, Annabelle's sure causing quite the ruckus right now.
Because somebody died. Oh my God, he died. Everybody has got a number tattooed on their ass. It's the expiration date that you're going to be departing the frickin' earth-bound place you are occupying. The fact that he did it when he was on tour with the thing is like, let me turn my head around like Linda Blair a few times. It happens. Let me tell you, people die all the time. He died when he was on tour with the frickin' doll. The idea that you could continue to believe that this wooden box with glass contains a spirit, and the spirit can't go through. My God, if a spirit can do anything, it can go anywhere and through anything. And a spirit, unlike what we believe about Superman, he's got kryptonite is his weakness. Spirits have a weakness. They're not afraid of the salt barrier. They're not afraid of you speaking in Latin and speaking, well, I'm speaking from the New Testament, from the Old Testament. They don't give a shit. They're deaf. They don't care. This idea, like, spirit's going to listen to this. What if it's a Native American spirit? Oh, well then, now you're going to have to deal with that whole problem, because he's in the ground because you guys are trying to proselytize him, and you didn't want to become converted to be Christian when he was a Native American worshiper, but you guys put him to death for it. What are you going to do about that? I mean, the idea that these people actually think that this is like absolutism is what the spirits just said. There's this idea that you absolutely positively, and I go on, if there's anything certain about spirits, absolutely positively, They don't give a flying fuck what we think. They go through walls. They penetrate glass. They're not worried that you've got a barrier and you believe you're protected. They look at us and they laugh. They find it amusing. They go, are these people for real? They're going to find out when they turn onto the other side and go, I call these things demons, and they're all just people like I was. And then they're going to realize the shockwave is you're a bunch of idiots thinking this and decrying them because your grandmother came to visit you and someone said, it's a demon impersonating your grandma. It's like, no, that was my grandma. I know the smell. I know my grandma. He's lying to you. No, that's my grandma. She's just saying hi. She does it all the time. No, I'm telling you, as a WWE wrestler, now I'm an exorcist. I'm telling you that it's demon worship. I'm going, no, that's grandma. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I listen to and I go, oh God, blasphemy, send me to gosh darn heaven quick, because these people drive me insane. But like I said, let me just read to you what Lisa said, because this is fascinating. And there it is. I can't take it off the wall. It's too big, but I'll read it, turn the lights off and I'll read to you. Let me see. So Sunday Daily Express, printed Sunday, August 9th, 2009. This is under the legacy of Manson's evil. 40 years ago today, the murders of actress Sharon Tate and her friends by Charles Manson's family shocked the world. Now on the site of the house where they were butchered, their spirits are said to linger. Jenny Pascal investigates. All right, so we go to this last paragraph. It says, LA-based psychic Lisa Williams, who regularly presents television shows on Life Beyond the Grave, has visited the house and confirmed Sharon Tate's presence. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Quote, Sharon was definitely there. She feels safe there, unquote. She claims here it is. Lisa also explained why she thinks the actress's spirit in David Oman's house is in David Oman's house and not in her own home just up the street. Quote, a spirit will go where it's comfortable. If the house she was in has the wrong person in it, this spirit will pull away from that area, the area. She may have had a friend who lived on the property where David's house now stands, unquote. Lisa believes there is a strange relationship between the homeowner and his guest. She asked the spirit why she stays in the house and refuses to cross over. Quote, she kept saying she liked this house. She likes being around David. Sharon was very angry and she wanted a story told, unquote. So that gives you a little understanding as to why, she visits here so often, or visits and hangs out, and, but that's not something I'm coming up with. That's something that was totally something I don't even know, outside the fact that she came here, she saw the house, she came up with a ton of information about the house, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, she was the first person who basically said there's a Native American interred on the side of the hill underneath the house that died a couple 300 years ago, when his horse and he fell down the slope of the hill and they were stopped by a tree. But by the time they were stopped by the tree, both the horse's neck and the rider's neck were both broken and they died. And through the years, their remains were left on the earth and interred in the earth. And what was funny is that before Lisa came to the house, since I moved in 2002, I had plenty of other people that were gifted, and all of them kept saying they feel Native American energy in the area. I just feel it here on this house, and also where we used to go down the street when the property was still being under construction by Mr. Weintraub. And I'm like, you guys are nuts. And several years later, I found one of the Benedict Canyon Association's pamphlets, and I usually don't look at them, but for some reason, I was drawn to look through it. And I came to a page, and it has this article about what? About the history of the area, that a mile away from here, where Chevy Chase Drive and Benedict Canyon Drive intersect, there's a boulder on the spot where the Beverly Hills First Women's Club sits. And on this boulder is a placard in brass, and it says, in 1929, when ground was first broken for the Beverly Hills First Women's Club, the remains of 3 Native Americans were uncovered on that spot between the battle between the early Californians and the Indians.
Okay.
That's crazy. And it's funny how that you bring that up. I just literally saw an episode on that Beverly Hills Women's Club and how they discovered remains on the property.
Right, when they were digging it up in 1929. So I did a little digging of my own. It turns out 87 years ago, 87 years earlier let me see again, 87 years ago in 1842, the Native Americans that were up in the canyons, the town that was what was left of the tribe that was forced up into up the canyons into the hills which were making raiding parties on God, where's my book? I can give you her name if I can find my content. What the hell? Oh, there it is. I forgot her name. She was, in a nutshell, she was the widow of one of the generals who was deeded 4,500 acres of land, and so her ranchero included all of Beverly Hills, all the way down to Olympic Boulevard and La Cienega Boulevard, all the way into Westwood, West LA. And it was just this huge tract because what they were doing was the Spaniards, now it was the Mexican government, was basically giving the land grants to these generals as basically as a reward for doing a good job, but also to put down roots and to develop the land and to develop the agriculture from the land and the resources from the land. So the whole of Benedict Canyon, apparently at the time, was a walnut grove that they would harvest. So the Native Americans that were driven up into the hills came down on raiding parties to go take goats and sheep and livestock as much as they could on her property, which was at Sunset and Alpine Drive now. So the raiding party got intersected by the ranchero ranch hands, and there was a running gun battle, which ended when they killed 3 of the Native Americans and left them on the spot. For 87 years later, they would find them in 1929 when they uncovered the bodies.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a mile from here. So we know that the Native Americans, because the lands that were in the flat were the most valuable resource-wise to the Mexicans that were developing the land, the hills were left vacant for the Native Americans and the wildlife. Like
Wow.
the hinterland, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's a lot of history there, that's for sure. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So
Is it-
on that,
LA, Native Americans? What do you mean? It's like, yeah, Native Americans.
yeah. So on that Ghost Adventures episode that you were in, they were talking about geomagnetic energy surrounding. Is that just basically around the property itself, or is that the whole hills?
It's the whole hills. Apparently, what
Okay.
Dr. Taffet said, and I speak to him regularly, he said that what he found is that the anomaly radiates from underneath in the earth in this area, and it's just irradiating out. So the energy is not just this one little spot. It's massive. He goes, it's in all directions. It's basically 150, 200 yards all the way through this canyon and stuff. It's just emitting here. Saying, I've met people who live in the area that I've never met before, and we start talking, and they say, "Oh crap, we had stuff going on." It's like, really? He goes, "Oh yeah." We started remodeling the house, and we started having doors and cabinets opening and closing in the middle of the night, and somebody was like marching up and down the hallway in like army boots, and we called up to find out that the homeowner had died in a hospice. Excuse me, and his kids had said, "Yeah, that's our dad. He's upset that you're messing with his home, which was his castle, for like 40 years."
Okay.
Wow.
So it's also the fact that the way the house was designed with a 30-foot wrought iron spiral staircase, and the I guess just the way the house was laid out in the design, it turns out that, oh, that's right, there's 2 steel I-beams supporting underneath the width of the house, supporting the second and third floor. And they're connected to 3 steel columns that are, again, embedded into the concrete gray beams that connect to the 13 30-foot deep caissons that are embedded in the bedrock. So what Barry said is that since there's all this iron it's basically causing a Ferris cage, basically an iron magnetized cage, because there's no way in hell that a 30-foot wrought iron staircase should be having that kind of amplification and magnetism to it. It's unheard of. It's just crazy.
So is that considered dangerous levels?
Well, let's see. I've been here 23 years. Barry said to me 21 years ago that all of my pets were going to have problems with cancer and stuff, and they're all going to die prematurely. One of my dogs was a 100-pound Ridgeback who lived to be 13. Another one was a 80-pound Ridgeback who lived to be 17 or 16.
Wow.
My other dog was a 60-pound street mix, and she lived to be 15 and a half. Most of my cats lived to be 17. Some of them one had a heart issue. It was a heart defect. One or two of them had cancer, but that was directly connected to the food.
Right.
And that was, again, that's why my dogs live so long, because I make homemade dog food. And that's why my cats live a lot longer now, because I stopped buying them canned cat food and worrying about the problems. So I don't attribute the cancer that the cats got to the house in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Okay.
So, and I'm still here. So
Yeah,
I have a
'cause
random.
They do say what the high geo.
Wake up!
I was like,
For our listeners, he just pretended to keel
drop
over.
dead. Yes.
I didn't
Do
even
not
get
do that while we're recording. He's frozen again. Ready?
Seriously, that is how it happened. When you die, you die frozen in the position. Just go. That idea that you slump over. No, when you die, that's it. You die the way you are. You don't slump. I've seen. I found my mom, and she was dead 20 years ago. She was like frozen like this, and
Wow,
Wow.
that's crazy. I haven't ever dealt with
never
that.
see a dead body. I know. Well, that's okay. I haven't.
No, only one after the fact, and
Yeah.
he had died in the hospital. I have a random question for you. Is
Yes.
there a vent behind your Venetian blinds, or a vent by your Venetian blinds behind you?
The vents there, the blinds are got to be about 20 feet behind them. Are you guys messing up? Please put airflow to the room. I can tell you there must be, because it is looking like there's a little current there. Speaking
Okay.
of, hold on 1 second. I just want to grab a glass of water and a little water.
I keep seeing them.
Yeah,
Like-
I've seen them move too.
Yeah, like they'll stop, and then all of a sudden they start moving. But I couldn't tell if that was a vent on the floor there or not.
Yeah,
So.
it kind of looks like one, but I'm not sure.
But it's funny, if you watch, it's not like a blowing, it's almost like a cascading.
Yeah, I just seen one kind of move, but kind of went from
Yeah,
left
right
to
now,
right.
if you look at them, they're cascading.
I don't think I
Like
see
from
that.
right to left. It's like it keeps going, but it could just be airflow.
It's
Yeah.
just the airflow. I got the air conditioning on.
Okay.
I just had a double check. It's like, yeah, the air conditioning's right. It's like, thank you. It's like 90 degrees outside.
Not quite that warm here.
Oh,
So what was your first experience or unexplained event that happened? Was it when you guys were building, or was it after you moved in? When did you first find out that you had all this activity on the property?
During construction, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, even before the construction, even when the first time I knew, or I felt just there, I was just like, yeah, I'm not alone, was when, bring this closer, when my cat Arthur died in January, March, like February of 1999. He passed away, and we just bought the property, and I said, I'm going to bury him on the property. I said, that's it. I said, I'm going to bury every single pet here on the property, and that's it. And my friend Sean came out with me, and I said, Sean, he goes, yes, I'll do that. So we went, basically hiked down the hill, like around 10 feet down the hill from the driveway. And we dug a hole. And I said, Sean, I'm going to say a little prayer. And I bowed my head and I said, no, this is my first cat, blah, 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 blah. And I just felt like I wasn't alone. I just felt like, I said to Sean, I mean, afterwards, I said to Sean, when we put him in the ground, I said, Sean, I feel like there's like a whole bunch of, there's a bunch of mourners here with us. I said, I just feel like I'm like, my spirits are buoyed, and I'm not. It's not just you and me, but there's like a whole crowd of people that are sitting there mourning with us. And I said, I've never felt that before. And he goes, well, I didn't want to tell you. I said, but I felt the same thing. I just felt this weird feeling like we were all being comforted, that you and I have been comforted, and you especially, by some group of spirits. It's like, and so that was the first time. Then during construction, it was like walking around the property it's just when we had the first 2 floors up, I just felt like I'd walk around. It's like going, and it's like going, yeah, what? And there'd be no one there. Almost like that presence of somebody like tap you on the shoulder. No one was there.
Yeah.
And then the laborers started to ask me, saying, Dave, where are the tools? I said, what tools? And he goes, well, the air hammer was on the 3rd floor yesterday. Now we can't find it. And then they find it on the 2nd floor in one of the other in a closet area. And going, well, don't look at me. I have nothing to do with that. I said, then about 6 months before we were done, I assembled all the laborers, and there was 5 of them. They were between the ages of 34 and 16. The 16-year-old being the 34-year-old son. And we had done all I guess the rough construction had been done. So the walls were up, but now it was time to have the vanities put in, and the countertops put in, and the electrical fixtures put in, and all the finishing touches. So I said to the guys, I can actually show you where I was. Well, not that. Wait. Let me see, right there. You see where those chairs are sitting?
Yeah.
Dining room. Literally, that's the spot where I had them all lined up in a semicircle, and I was on this side. So I was here.
Okay.
They were over here. They were like in a semicircle in that area. And I said to them, I said, look, guys, we're almost done with the house. I said, we're almost finished. You guys are out of here in a couple of weeks. I said, I got to ask you. I said, you've been here for the past 2.5, 3 years. I said, has anybody had any weird experiences that you guys haven't told me about? And one guy goes, yeah. I goes, I had some strange shit happen. And he's telling me in Spanish, of course, because all these guys are from El Salvador. And he says, I'm down on the 3rd floor, and I'm working, and it's about 6 o'clock. It's middle of July. And we have the air conditioning in, and all the windows are up. But he goes, I'm the last one there. And it's totally light. And so he says, I'm sitting here working, and I hear the sound of voices and footsteps coming from the top floor. Now, at the time, the bottom floor landing, the bottom floor, you go down the stairs, and then the bottom floor was open to the landing went right into the room. So the room was 8 feet, the entrance is 8 feet across, and say about 10 feet down, 12 feet down.
Okay.
So 12-foot high ceiling, and it's and you just come landing, and it just goes right into that room. So he's basically saying, I can hear voices and footsteps coming down the stairwell, which is 8 foot by 8 foot by 40 feet. And he goes, I come upstairs looking for you. I figure it's you and your father. You're coming to see how the construction's going, because my dad was the general contractor, and I was basically here as a supervising contractor. So he comes upstairs, and he goes, Senor Paul, Senor David, looks around the entire top floor, goes outside. He goes, the damnedest thing. He goes, the place is empty. He goes, there's not a single car up there. There's nothing. I said, oh, I've been up here at 7 o'clock in the summertime during the construction. I said, in the sun, and there's nothing here. The place is empty. People don't seem to get it back here until like 8 o'clock in the summer. He says, yeah, that's what I don't understand. So he goes to the 2nd floor, looks to the 2nd floor, nothing. And he goes back downstairs. He starts working. 5 minutes later, voices and footsteps coming from the top floor. So he comes upstairs, he goes, now he's really like skeptical. He doesn't understand it. And it can't be the people down there from below, because he goes, the windows are all shut. So he goes back and he looks, he goes, there's nothing. He says, I'd had enough. So he's going downstairs and packs his bags up. He says about 5 minutes later, he says, he hears it. And I said, you hear what? He goes, I hear footsteps, leather-soled shoes coming down the staircase, going down. And at the time, the staircase was in, but all we had was wooden treads. So there's 2x12s in the slots with the uncovered. So he says they're going louder, louder, louder. And I can hear them going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And they come into. So he goes into the room adjacent. That's like let's see, it's probably about, it's like this room, but to there. So he's probably like 12 feet away from it. So he's in the door jam and he's waiting. He says he hears the footsteps and they got to the bottom of the landing and they stopped. He comes running out with a hammer. He starts looking around at the landing. There's nothing the hell there. He goes, so I said, what do you mean? Then it happens. He goes, I'm standing there looking around. He goes, I'm perplexed. He goes, he says, it's like an ice piece of chunk of ice, like it's 2-inch wide piece of ice. Almost, it feels like, goes slowly across the back of his neck from the right to the left. And he says, it's like dragging across. He goes, as it is, his whole body is starting to get slowly erect. He says, the hairs on his arms and his legs are all standing straight up and he's totally petrified. And he goes, ados míos, yeah, my boy. Spanish means, oh my God, I'm leaving.
Oh. Okay, for our listeners that aren't watching the video, that bell is in the video. There was nobody touching it, nothing.
I'm here by my lonesome and there's no
Yes.
my 2 cats are sleeping somewhere. So no, that's just me and the
You
bell.
can totally see it in the video. There is nobody touched that.
Nobody touched that. No, are you kidding? No, and there's no remote control. People said with the leg raised on my leg rest on my little recliner down on the 3rd floor on the TikTok video. I said, what are you talking remote freaking control? Oh, well, your leg touch. I said, the armrest sits out like this, and then 3 inches in is the button on the side, and you have to push the button in from that point on. I said, what do I have hands on my fucking calves that are pushing the button as well? I said, it's impossible. And this thing, and as I was, thanks, Spears, like, thank you. Let's not forget, thank you. Timing couldn't have been better. And I know what you're getting at, because that's an important story, they said, so they wanted to emphasize it. But he says, I didn't come back for 6 weeks. I said, wait a second, wait. That's when you told the guys you were in San Salvador taking care of your mom who was sick. He goes, yeah. I said, why did you come back? He goes, because I was working in other jobs, but I came back because I realized I didn't get paid for the prior 3 weeks. And I said, I remember it because you were supposed to frickin' do the gosh darn master bathroom and put the floor tiles in and the tiles in the shower and the tiles on the gosh darn around the bathtub. And I got so tired after 2 weeks saying, when's he getting here, that I ended up doing it myself.
Okay.
And to this day, I mean, I did it myself, but let's be honest, the crown jewel of the house's bathrooms, it is not. I screwed up because I'm watching him just take the tile and do this lather on the plaster and put it down. And I'm like, oh, that's easy. And I realized, he goes, well, that's what I do with the regular, man-made manufactured tiles. But for the tiles in the master bedroom and bathroom, these are natural stone. You're supposed to take them out of the box and like a puzzle, lay them out and configure them because you have different veins through the different pieces of the marble. And you're supposed to basically match it up and take advantage of getting the pattern. So it's going all the way through. And he goes, you didn't do that. He goes, I didn't realize that. He goes, yeah, it's like you have a vein going this way. And then one here, the vein's like this and you have a vein going this way. He goes, it's all wrong. It's all wrong. It's not to mention, some of those tiles are just a little bit taller than the other, and they're a little closer. You didn't use the spacers. He said, yeah, I tried to use the spacers. They're he goes, it looks easier than you make. I make it look easy. He said, I thought I could figure it out after I watched you for a couple of weeks doing the other bathrooms and the kitchen. He goes, yeah, he goes, it isn't as easy as you think. It's like,
no,
it's not. So that's the story.
You've had multiple different people come in, investigators, mediums. You've had ghost adventures, ghost hunters. And the thing I was impressed, I just rewatched the Ghost Hunters today. I was actually impressed by their reactions because normally they try to really come in and really debunk things, and they usually don't have that much of a reaction, but they had some good reactions to your house.
They got so much more stuff than they put on the show. It's not even funny. They really did. They got handled. And I was watching this stuff and I'll be honest with you. The EVPs on the show were decent, but let's be honest. I've got I call them disembodied voices because
Yeah.
EVP is electronic voice phenomena, which usually means a spirit box or a Frank's box or an Equivox, whatever the box. Here I've got 30 cameras. Yeah, let me show you what I mean. Yeah, I'll bring one of them over to you guys. This is one of the cameras. It's right now on. This is from the this. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
these I have 30 of them inside and outside the house. They record the figurines. They record the kitchen, the dining room area. They
Are you
record.
talking the figurines on top of the fish tank?
Yeah,
That
that tripod's for the figurines on top of the fish tank.
okay. And
I,
that was on the Ghost Adventure episode.
yeah, that happened a lot. That
Yeah.
happens all the time. And sometimes when it doesn't, I'm like, you guys on vacay? I said, it's been 2 weeks since you knocked the figurines over. Nobody believes me when I tell them that you don't. And they go, it's the fish tank. I said, the fish tank weighs 1,000 pounds.
Well, in that
Found
episode,
it.
you
Yeah.
jumped. You were jumping very vigorously in front of the tank to try to get them to fall, and they wouldn't fall.
I mean, sometimes they fall, but it's very, very rarely that they do. And I think on one occasion we had an earthquake that we actually felt in the house. And that's one out of 23 years I've been here. And I've noticed there's been a lot more earthquakes that I've missed here in the house because the house is so sound construction wise. And the figurines have been knocked over one time, all of them from an earthquake. Otherwise, when people say, that it's this and that, it's like, so how come only one figurine and not a bunch of them at the same time are falling over?
Yeah.
Which people can't explain. That's the problem.
Right.
It's like,
Well, they're just going up there and they're going, dink. Got a reaction. A while later, dink. Got another one.
it was on the 40th anniversary, maybe 16 years ago, the big figurine Beetlejuice was thrown towards the artist Joey Moss, who painted all the paintings of Sharon Tate and such. And he was like, eh. I said, yeah, I turned as it's flying in through midair. I'm going, whoa, that's crazy, man. I've never seen that before. But back to the disembodied voices. I have voices that aren't like, ask 3 different people what the hell they heard, and you had 3 different answers. I'm talking about clean, clear vocalizations of a voice saying, hi, John. And my friend's going like, David, is there a chick here? It's like, no, John, it's just us. Well, I just heard a girl's voice say, hi, John. And we watched the cameras, and sure as hell, you got a woman's voice going, hi, John.
Wow.
We're not investigating. He's just unpacking his bags at the dining room, at the table. I'm like going, yeah, there's spirits are here. What do you want? And that it happens more frequently than I care to admit. Only because I don't check the cameras every day like most people would think I should. I just haven't the interest to do so. If it's something that catches my attention, then I write down the time, I write down the room, I write down what I heard in brief, like a little notation of it. And I'll review the footage later going, wow, that's a pretty good piece of evidence. I like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no, I don't spend time hours and hours going, I hate listening. I hate that. I did that for the first 3 months I had in the system, and I was like, "This is Burnoutsville, man. I can't do it."
Can only do so much.
Yeah, I mean, I live here, so it's like. Furthermore, how much information do I need to know that I really care that I live in this environment? That I need to bombard myself with a notification of, yeah, you live in a haunted house. What else is new? I mean, it's just. It does me no benefit is what I'm basically getting
Well,
at.
and if they're trying to get your attention, they're going to do it to you directly anyway, not
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're not around.
No, and if it's something that's happened and I know something's knocked over, I go to watch the video. And it's like, okay, so you did that. I said, that's interesting. What was the point of doing that when I'm not here? Oh, so you get my attention after the fact. Okay, that's good. And it doesn't bother me. To me, it's more like being entertained and amused more than being concerned and scared and frightened.
Right.
Because here's the bottom line. What the hell am I gonna do anyways? If I'm frightened, I'm in one bad position because all I've done is I painted myself into a corner, and the next step is over the edge, meaning you go kooky.
Right.
It's like, oh my god, 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 and you
That's
lose
me.
it.
That would be me.
Look, why? For what purpose? How does that benefit you? I thought you're entertained and curious about the paranormal. That's like a paranormal investigator going, oh my God, it's a ghost, and going, but that's what the hell you're looking for.
Right.
Supposed to be doing, isn't it? Oh,
Sounds like crazy.
Stugas.
So with like we were talking about with ghost hunters, they had caught some EVPs that kind of sounded like almost like moaning, or somebody that was in distress or in
Get me in
pain.
the way. Get me into the lights. Whatever the hell was. Sorry. I listened to that and I go, God, I don't know if it was me, if it was them, but boy, that is some weak evidence. I've got ghost cursing, saying
Right.
pricks. I'm going, I heard that. I go, so I'm here alone. I said to the spirits, I said, you said plural. You said pricks, plural. Who are you referring to? Because I could be a effing prick. Got that, but you went out of your way and said pricks. And I'm like, tell me, who am I to be afraid of? What am I concerned with? And I mean, it's not like it's guesswork of, it sounds like, I mean, I've got them saying, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. I mean, I've got all different voices that are
Right.
And it's not, like I said, it's not, even if it was a Frank's box that actually supposedly did this and the spirit box did it, it's not their voice. It's a transmission of a AM or FM or a cellular transmission that it's picking the words out of.
Right.
These are really vocalizations of spirits in their own, in their own words, so to speak.
Right.
So to me, I go, look, like I said, look at my channel and take a look at the stuff and just type in, disembodied voice, and you'll see tons of videos and you go, oh, wow.
Way
Wow.
different.
Wow. And they're not shy either. Like I said, they want to say something, they chime in. I'm going,
They let
really,
you
it's that
know,
simple. Bet on the Reds tonight. Okay, I got you. Take your advice. How about the lottery? Got the lottery numbers for today's multi-billion?
Yeah, I'll take those too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the stuff we all want. They'll never get it. But you do know the numbers, don't you? Well, that's not you, son of a bitch. We can appreciate a breaks here. You live here rent free. I'm going to start charging you. Info is worth money. Just remember that. 7. I'll take 7 of the 8s. That's fine. I'll be happy with that. That's good. I'll take those lottery numbers. Yes, please. What I wouldn't give for that kind of luck.
Yeah,
Right?
that'd be nice.
Jeez, boy. Nice isn't the word. Be insane. But I digress.
So, are there any particular spirits in your home that you've come to recognize or quote unquote get to really know? Or are they more regular or common spirits, or is it just a variety?
It's usually variety. I can't tell. Well, there's one spirit of a little girl who we've recorded here. We've called her. We've named her, given her the name of Gwendolyn.
Okay.
She first appeared when the Poltergeist DVD Blu-ray release event was here at the house one evening. And they converted the 3rd floor guest bedroom right next to the theater room into Carol Ann's room.
Oh no.
And I'm telling you, I've in my entire life, I've never gone into that room but one time and ever said, whose house is this? I mean, literally every stitch of furniture, the California king size bed was pulled out of there. All the gymnasium equipment that was in there. They brought in a single kid's bed. They brought in a 3-foot tall rattan hamper, dirty laundry basket. They brought in a 4-foot tall stuffed teddy bear. They brought in a little kid's teacup set with a table and chairs.
Please tell me they left the clown at home.
They had a clown. They had a 8-foot by 12-foot area rug that was like a little kid's area rug from just like in the movie. Apparently, I didn't see the movie, the remake. They had this Barbie freaking keyboard that was a little. And the reason why I mentioned it was freaking because during the party, their event, they brought in I think 60 social media influencers, broke them up into 6 groups of 10, and they the first 2 hours, every 20 minutes they would have the group of 10, the 6 groups rotate. So they would go everybody at the 20-minute mark, everybody goes to this station and this. So each part of the house was broken up into stations. And afterwards they started people coming up to said, David, that keyboard, it played a single note on its own. And I'm like, don't look at, what are we looking at me for? I have no idea about David, it played by itself. Because again, don't look at me. I don't know. At the end of the night, Jimmy Oster from JoeBlow.com was doing his report. And apparently at the beginning of the night, he did his pre-party, video, and then his after-party video. Upon review, in the pre-party video, he's talking, and it's just him and his videographer and me, and I'm in the house, and everybody else is outside working. He hears this, he's talking, and you hear in the background a little girl's voice go,
Oh.
there was no gosh darn children at that time. There was no children at the party at all. Everybody here had to be over the age of 18. So that was the first thing. At the end of the night, when it was me, his videographer, his photographer, and that's it, the 4 guys were all over 30 freaking years old. We're in the theater room, and Jimmy's down there. And I've got the clips on my channel, you look it up, and you can see the clips, and it's crazy. He's talking, he goes, I've been to David's house many times. And this is a quote of his from the thing. I've been to David's house many times, and strange things have happened to me here. And almost as if on cue, in the background, you hear this little girl's voice said, here's one. Clear as a freaking bell. And there was, it was around 12:30. The party had wrapped up at 12 o'clock, and they were all out. And so it's just the 4 of us. And his guy says, I just heard a voice, and he plays the Megos. So we ended up keeping the keyboard. Because they were going to throw it out. I said, can I keep it? Yeah. It's been here now for some 10, maybe 12 years. It plays on its own by itself.
Wow.
That's funny.
That's crazy. I love it.
So that's the one we know that's here, is this girl named Gwendolyn. The Native American spirit, we assume he's here because every time different psychics have been here, like James Von Prague, and he goes into the earth and water and he goes, I feel a Native American energy in here, a spirit. I got to get out of here. Pulls right out. 10 minutes, 10 seconds. That's a record. It's amazing. And, I finally told Zach in Ghost Adventures, and he turned it into a Native American ceremonial burial ground, which I said, one guy died here. He died by accident. His bones and body were left on the hillside, and through the mudslides on the hill, which I've personally witnessed many times over, his remains were covered and buried deeper into the layered mounds of hill that became the part of the underside of the house. Not a gosh darn ceremonial burial site. And he goes and tells this stuff, and the audience, including Scott Michaels from Julia to Bride Tours, comes to tell me your house is built on Native American ceremonial burial grounds. And I'm like, the hell it is.
So with all of the investigations and events and stuff that you've held there, I know I also rewatched.
Including tonight.
Yes.
Tonight I've got Tim Roddy's coming over with his Tim Roddy podcast, is coming to some friends of his. So that's going to be fun. Plus I've got Kelly and Kay and Chris coming over as well to do some investigating with them too.
Wow.
Very cool.
Busy.
I can't wait till we get out there. I would love.
Time the ball or the bell or something. Come on. Goes to show you they're here, but they're very, very,
selective.
Yeah. But that's good. You don't want the bell going off like it was a couple weeks ago all the time. I was like,
Right.
You're giving me a headache. I can't talk. You're interrupting me. And it was like ding, 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 ding. It's just craziness. So,
Well, spirits, you need to show us something, because Jeremy has never had a good paranormal experience. So give him something.
flash and frontal flash.
So, with all of the different investigators, different people you've had in, different events and stuff like that, I know with Ghost Adventures, Nick had a pretty visceral reaction to the home. And they were talking about not going in and doing the investigation. Have you had anybody else other than, Barry Taft coming
Taft,
in?
T-A-F-F on Taft. It's just T-A-F-F because you'll look up Taft and you'll be like,
Oh, sorry, Barry Taft.
yeah. Well, just for your audience, if they want to look it up,
Yes,
yeah, they'll say Taft. She's the
yes,
president. Like, not the same guy. But yeah,
TAF. But has anybody else had visceral reactions like that or gone in to investigate and be like, "Nah, David, I'm out. I can't do this."
no, not
No?
really.
Not
This,
really.
but here's the thing: is Nick's been back. He was back here 9 years ago with Katrina Weidman to
Uh,
do promotional bit for what was it, Paranormal Lockdown that he was doing with her.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
He had no problem that, and I actually have tons of footage from his visit here because I wanted to make sure his return visit would be documented. So I have all this great footage of his visit, and nothing happened to him like what happened to him. And he even said, he goes, I don't feel as uncomfortable. And I've spoken to him and I asked him, I said, look, you come back when you want, you'd love to have you visit and such. So who knows, in the future he might, but I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah.
Well, and with it being a revolving door of activity, it could have been that spirit just wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, and again, I think what happened to him that night was a matter of guilt through association. I don't have to explain what that means, but I mean, you hang around with dogs, you wake up with fleas. And, let's be honest, that was part and parcel of what was going on because I told them the night before when they were shooting the B-roll footage, which included the pregnancy, the pregnant Sharon Tate clutching her stomach covered in blood. And I have a whole sequence of photographs where one photograph, there's a ball of white light pouring out of her stomach. And I'm like, wait a second, every other picture before and after doesn't show anything of that. And secondly, how do you explain a ball of white light coming out of her stomach when all the lamps that were lighting her were in front of her, lighting her up in the front? You don't
Yeah.
have behind her because if you do, it's going to blind out the entire image of her
Right.
on the camera, on the
Uh,
photo. So I didn't understand it. And I was like, and I told him I got chills. And that's why at the beginning of the show, you see me going to the top of the stairs and, I reenacted what I said 5 minutes earlier, which was spirits. I don't want you I was cursing them out saying, don't you dare try to f them out. I don't want anybody going to the hospital. I know you want to lambaste them and paralyze them and torment them and basically take them to task because they've basically pissed on your graves and they disrespected you. I said, please don't do that. I said, you have to remember, because it's not just you. It's I live with this and I have to deal with the fallout. So don't. As I'm walking out the door, the executive producer says, what the hell was that? I said, what the hell was what? He goes, what was that? Just that monologue. Is it monologue? What do you freaking think? I said, did you? I said, I didn't see any cameras on when I was doing that. I said, I did it because I was terrified that you guys are going to end up going to the hospital tonight because of all the crap you guys have done here and the amount of disrespect I've seen from this show so far and the reenactments and stuff. I said, I told you, I said, it's a crock of shit that she was seen down the street in front of coming up the driveway, clutching her pregnancy covered in blood. I said, bullshit. She's psycho. I said, the broad's full of shit. I did. I told him, I said, look, I said, the problem with the story is that she called me up 6 months ago and she said she was coming and she wanted to visit the house. Would I be okay with it? And I said, oh yeah, I remember you from a few years ago with this other paranormal group that was here. Sure. And then she called again. She goes, I want to come up. I said, fine. When do you want to come up? Just give me a call and let me know. And that was it. And now she's resurfacing on your show as a witness who says that her and her mom were in the car driving up the driveway. And at the bottom of the driveway, she turned in. She sees Sharon Tate walking down the street, clutching her, dressed in a nightgown covered in blood. I said, what kind of stupid? I said, when I saw Jay Sebring's apparition some years earlier, I said, he didn't look anything like he did when he was shot and killed.
Right.
He wasn't wearing the same outfit he was wearing when he was killed to begin with. I said, so the idea that this myth of, the mythos of, be careful what you wear when you leave the house, because if you're killed, you're going to be condemned to wear that for eternity. I'm like going, yeah, says you. So that means, and this is how I think. So that means the poor son of a bitch who went into worked at the Starkist tuna factory, the cannery down in San Pedro, who was basically eviscerated and boiled in with the tuna and cooked and canned. You're going to tell me that he's going to come back as a gosh darn case of goddamn Starkist tuna? And I said, what's he going to say? Ah! He goes, hey, it's Charlie. Look at that. It's a floating.
Oh no.
There he is. He goes, how about that? So you do come back the way you died. And look at that. You still got your uniform bits on, too.
Oh my God.
It makes no sense. There's stupidity. No, the man went through a wood chipper and he died through a wood chipper. So is he coming back in a silver platter as a pile of like 2 feet of fucking chipped human beef going, oh my God. Oh my God. That's Jeff. I remember Jeffy who died in that wood chipper accident. My God. I guess it's true. You do come back the way you died.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think if that was true, I'd be wearing that shirt all the time. That sure rocks.
When I saw Sebring, he was dressed in a goddamn suit and his hair was all kinked just like it was when he didn't have hair relaxant in, because you can't have hair relaxant in the afterlife. And he had naturally kinky hair. So, I mean, this is why I say that these people that make these statements, you know, I said to them, I said, so he goes, well, will you go back and do the G-rated version so we can record it? And I was like, yeah, it's your show. I said, why not? I said, I'm not selling out to you guys. I'm just doing it for the show. But the point was that I was trying to ask the spirits to leave them alone, and they didn't. And guess what? They lasted 3 hours of a 6-hour lockdown and ran out after 3 hours.
Oh.
And when they started recording at 9 o'clock, all the equipment failed. All the batteries were drained. All the backup batteries that were hooked up to the house were all drained. So they had to reset for an hour later while they recharged all the batteries and equipment to start their show to shoot at 10. From 10 to 4, 10 to 4 they were supposed to shoot. They wrapped at 1:05 a.m. and ran out of the house. Totally just.
They didn't make it to the.
No, they didn't make 6 hours, even though the time code is like time code. I'm watching the show. It's like, I said, my friends while here watching, I said, it says it's 2 o'clock in the morning. At 2 fucking o'clock in the morning, I was here in the gosh darn house freaking cleaning the fucking place up. There was no one here but me at 2 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the idea that 3:40, 3:40, 4:45 in the morning, nowhere the hell were they near here. They were flat out gone. And then they were sick for the next 3 days and 3 nights. They were in their bed in their hotel, sick as a dog.
Huh.
Them.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't like the fact that they went in and did that investigation on their new season in the Poltergeist house.
What? Let me get this straight.
What are you investigating?
Exactly. What are you going to do? It's a gosh darn set. It's a location that was a movie house, a house that they used, and was, as I recall, they used the exterior. I don't even think they used the interior of the freaking house. They did most of the stuff on a soundstage.
Yeah, I think they did some of it inside and in the yard, but the majority was done on the soundstage.
Right.
But Carol Ann's not going to be there, and
And she's a fictional character. She's fictitious.
Yeah.
The freaking backyard and the freaking goddamn. Oh, you moved the headstones, but you left the bodies. You moved the headstones, but you left the bodies. You son of a. Yeah. Okay. Right. Whatever. It's a freaking motion picture. This is the stupidity meets the idiocy of Mr. Bozo Clown Baggins. We're going to the sound stage, and we're gonna. I mean, it's look. There are sound stages in Hollywood. Universal's notorious for them that are haunted,
right?
Because people work there. They lived their lives there. They died somewhere else, but they came back to places that were familiar to them, just like the old saying goes. Where does this colloquial saying come from? We're going to go visit some of our old haunts. It's the reference that the dead return to places that they were familiar with when they were alive. That
right.
Memories of, and pleasant memories, and sometimes not pleasant memories, but it's a connection to that individual that's returning to that place. Not the fact that they died there. It's like, doesn't mean they're going to be hanging around the spot where they departed the freaking earth, you stooge.
Right.
It's not like they're going to be watching like, I'm going to a graveyard. It's like, as Barry Taft told me 20 years ago, he goes, graveyards are the least haunted locations on the planet. I said, why is that? He goes, what's a graveyard? I said, I don't know where you bury a dead body. He goes, exactly. It's a repository for your earthly remains. The second you die and your spirit takes off, See, this is the spirit in the body. Spirit's now off and the body's going off to the grave. Spirit's not like this
Right.
anymore. Spirit's doing what it's doing. The body's going off to be processed, for lack of better terms. And that's the thing, is like the idea that a spirit's gonna be like, oh, look at me. I'm looking at my body. Oh my God, look at my flesh. Look at my nails. God, I could use stand to trim these nails. And oh my God, they're being eaten out by worms. What kind of an afterlife is that? You get this
Right.
look at your gosh decomposing, rotting body.
Yeah. The one thing that still blows my mind from that movie, though, the swimming pool scene, is that those skeletons were real.
Some of them were real, they said.
Oh.
Some of them were real. They got them from a medical,
Yes.
medical processing plant. Yeah, and then
That's
of course they went back to being used in medical, in universities and medical colleges where they actually, have real skeletons because they were donated by the people that wanted them to be used for medical research.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why not?
And you don't get to choose what they use. I mean, I just recently found out both my grandparents are donated their body to medical research. My grandpa got leukemia late in life and my mom died from leukemia, so he wanted to do something good. So he donated his body, for medical research, and my grandma followed suit. So even years before she passed, she decided to do that. I just recently found out if you donate, it might not be for like medical research. It may be that you are going to be sitting at one of those
Body farms.
body farms.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me?
Forget there's worse than that. You don't even realize. They
No,
do plans with explosives and detonation of explosives, and also of ammunition and stuff to see how the damage to the human corpses, because you can't use a pig. They say they use pigs. Yeah, they do and they don't. A lot of the times they actually use cadavers because they want to see the actual damage to a human corpse, a human
I
body.
mean,
So,
I guess it is just a vessel that you're not using anymore, but I'm kind of attached to this body. I don't think I want to be blown up or sitting there.
you're attached because you're connected. Once
Yes, yes.
that's just think of it this way. Forget the medical, it's a medical science. What do you
Right,
think happens with a body after you gosh darn go to A, the medical examiner, meaning the coroner, or
right.
B, to a funeral home? They do
Yeah,
a hell of a lot worse than that. I mean,
that's true.
if you have an autopsy, oh, forget it. You're a goner. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't even want to know. I mean, I've seen and heard things. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
That's
you don't want to be this guy. All right, look at me. Oh my God.
no.
Oh my God. They're sawing my freaking skull off. Oh God. Oh God. I mean, can you imagine that? That's what it's like. Yeah. Let's go think they make statements, but people don't think them through, because if you set A up, B, C, D, E, and F and G have to happen too. And no one wants to discuss that because it's pretty horrific, to be honest with you. That's why
Yeah.
nobody wants to discuss it. But this is the facts that we all have to start to play with and to admit when we're talking about the paranormal, because people love to cast these wonderful assertions. And I go, but it's a blind assertion. He goes, why is that? I said, because I say, why has it? Because because the glass box was blessed by a priest. Was that one of the good ones that wasn't molesting children? I'm just kind of curious, I mean, the idea that a human being has the power to somehow dictate to a spirit, which is no longer a human being, makes me find it very amusing to understand who the hell gave them the grace of God to have that much hubris to believe that they have such skill and powers. I mean, I take the exact opposite. I'd say it best as this. I'd rather be dumb and not know than to act like I know and not know
Yeah.
and claim to be a professional or to claim to be an expert, because
Right.
every expert that I've ever seen has turned out to be a phony and been a paper tiger.
Okay.
For the most part, I mean, there are people that are gifted, but even though it's like, look, I have gifts, but I can't do everything. It's like, I'm not God. It's like, thank you.
Right. Everybody's got their specialties.
Everybody's got, you have to admit, your limitations. Thank you, spirits. And that's what it says, it's not of limitations. It says limitations. People don't like to, because they boast, brag, and act like they're godlike. And it's like, you can act all you want, but remember, it's an act. And I can see right through the cloth that you're walking right in front of.
Right. So
And
with
that's the thing. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So with the different type of activity and stuff that you have in the home, like if somebody like Jeremy who hasn't had a paranormal experience is a little bit of a skeptic to it because he hasn't experienced anything, he wants to. Does the house get louder or quieter depending on who's there? Like if
I'll say this, that most people that are skeptical end up having an experience because, well, let me see if this raises your curiosity and your coefficient thought process to a place that you now accept and understand that we're real. It's, I can't, Kane Hodder was here in March with the, whatchamacallit,
Oh, Hollywood Haunters or
no, no, he was with the whatchamacallit Light. What's it called? The charitable foundation Light. I forgot the name of the gosh company, the group. The guiding, not guiding light. Starlight Foundation.
oh, okay.
And then he was here to do a ghost hunt, so that the winner of their sweepstakes, whatever they had, their raffle, ended up getting to bring a friend to go investigate the house here. And Kane was bummed, was looking forward, hoping more than anything to make contact with his friend who had died. Whatchamacallit, Tony, who's the guy named? The guy who played in the Candyman. Tony,
oh,
I keep on hearing his name. I forgot your name, Tony. What was your guy's name? Tony
Jeremy,
Howell?
Candyman, the guy from
Yeah, I'm
Smallville.
trying to remember. I can't think of it
Oh,
either. Tony Todd.
Tony Todd.
Yeah.
And Kane said, he goes, there's somebody I really want to make contact with while I'm here. And he goes, I'm not going to tell you his name. I'm like, okay. And it's like, and as it goes, he was more disappointed that he did not make contact with Tony. I said, well, he only died a few months ago. I don't know what the parameters are under how it works, but if he can't make it, can't manifest, I'm sorry. But it was one of those things. And it's like, you've got to understand that everything happens on its own time,
Right.
not on our time, but on our own right time. And no matter what our desires are, it happens when it happens. So if you guys, Jeremy comes out here and you guys visit and something happens, terrific. I have no idea whether or not that's going to happen. Thanks a lot, asses. Contrary to what Zach Baggins claims in his book, I Am Haunted, about 3.5 pages, he said that I knew when things were going to happen, and I'm a poltergeist agent. It's like, I'd be the first to say, I have no idea when something's going to happen.
Right.
And I can't say that you're going to be here and this is going to happen, that's going to happen. I have no control over it. So it's entirely out of my realm of ability to do. So if it happens, it happens. I would hope that it happens for Jeremy's sake, but, you just have to see what happens,
Yeah.
and see who we can bring over that can add to the mix, that can bring out the spirits. Because I tend to notice that when there's a few people here, sometimes stuff doesn't happen. When there's a greater amount of people here, stuff starts to happen because, as I like to say, the more pieces of the chemistry set more elements that you put into the mix, the more chances you are going to have a reaction.
Right.
And that's the type of the dynamic I've noticed here at the house. It's a curiosity. It's not like you can design it and say, this is going to happen because I'm about this person. So, but that happened last time. It's like, so what? It's an unknown. It's
right.
Like I said, I know not when it's going to happen, but when it happens, thank God I got the cameras on so I can record it and save it.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Do it. So
what's next for the Oman House? What, do you have any investigations coming up? Another documentary, or?
I'm still working on the first documentary. I've got a meeting with my production associate and the agents to see what's going on with it. Basically, I've got, like I said, Tim Roddy coming over tonight. I've got, next week, I've got Minnesota Association of Paranormal Searchers, MAPS, yeah,
Minnesota?
Minnesota. They're coming out next Saturday night. They're going to spend the night. I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's have some fun and see if we can get some stuff. We'll do a live stream. So that'll be good. Other than that,
Is it the
just
Minnesota Taps team?
not Minnesota Taps. They call themselves MAPS,
Oh,
MAPS.
okay. I'll have to look them up.
Take them up on what is it, on Facebook.
Yeah.
And was going to say is this movie of mine, we just re-edited the beginning of the film. So we put the sequences in order now. So it goes to the murders, then it goes to the discovery of the murders, and then it goes to the newsreel footage, and then it goes to the present day. So
Okay.
it works out a little bit better. It's on rental. You can rent it on Vimeo at House at the End of the Drive.bhx.tv. And of course, where the hell is the book? Oh, there it is. Sorry, guys. I have my book, goes to Cielo Drive, which we're trying to get out there, and people to buy a copy of it, since I think it's, as the feedback has been, it's one of the best true stories of the paranormal without a lot of the drama and the hype of demons and possessions and stuff. It just, how should we say it? It cuts right to the bone of the truth of the
Right.
paranormal without a lot of the drama that's unnecessary. There's plenty of drama that happens in the book, but it's because the actual the occurrences that have been reported in the book are all straightforward. Just to say, this is what happened. The sock moved across the floor 3 feet, and I'm sitting there going, "What the hell do you guys want?" And people go, "I can hear your voices. I'm reading this goddamn book. I love it. I can't stop reading it." I'm going, that's scary to have my voice in your head. I would hate, no, when I'm reading the book, I can hear you singing. It's so easy to read. And I love the stories, the way you've written it. It's like going, because it's the way I'd want to read the truth about what's
Right.
going on here. Not like I went in the room and it was totally chilled. I felt like I went into a refrigerator freezer and it was so cold I could see my air. It's like, this isn't the gosh darn Exorcist, man. It's real life. This is in Amityville, where you can see the condensation on the window, and I can say, "Help! It's me!" right in on my fingers. I mean, that's not the way the ghosts operate, really. So,
Well, we'll make sure to include links for all of those both of those items in the show notes, and we'll be definitely ordering a copy and renting the movie as well.
Yeah.
like I said, when you come out here, we'll screen it in the theater room where
Oh,
the
that'd be so fun.
movie was shot here. So when you're here watching the movie, going, "I'm in that room," it's like, "Yes, you are." And goes, "Oh, well, no." I say, "Oh, yeah, that's where it all happens." That is it. This is the part of the house where that is like, "Oh crap! Oh crap! Oh crap!"
That would be crazy. I love that idea.
Oh, I've done it before. And people go, and I tell them straight. I said, "Yeah, Lance Hendrickson's, his middle monologue. This is the room that the contract labor had the experience, and that's the doorway where that's where the entryway was, where he went, and that's the stairwell." And they're going, "Oh crap!" And I've heard the voices on one occasion in that room, and I've heard the footsteps a month later in my bedroom at the crack of dawn, walking across the ceiling with the floor of this room, which is the ceiling to my master bedroom, and I could track the footsteps walking across the floor, going 1, 2, 3, as they trailed across towards the kitchen.
Wow. That that is crazy. I love that. So, do you think you'll ever move or sell the home, or do you
I,
think you're
oh,
gonna
when
stay
I
there
die,
and what's that?
when I
When I
die,
That was my next question. Will you be the next ghost haunting the house?
I can't say for any certainty of that, but I certainly know this: over my dead body, the house will be out of my possession. People say, "No," it's like, no, I'm not. My godfather, in my lifetime, my godfather lived like 7 places. And I kept on saying, "What is this? Every 5 years, you upgrade to a new house." Some people upgrade and repaint the interior of the house, or they redo the kitchen. You don't do any of that crap. You end up selling the goddamn house and buying a new freaking house. He said, "What is with you?" I said, "I can't stand that." I said, "I've lived in my parents' house for 18 years. Then I went to college, and I had my own apartment for 20, some years. Then I've had this place for 23 years." I said, "Why would I want to ever move from a place I spent 4 years of my life with my father building?" And
Right.
that's like, "Hector, go lift go put that here. No, Hector, go move that." No, I had my blood, sweat, and tears building the house, literally building it with the guys and doing the stuff. And I was like, no, I'd never in a million years want to ever leave this home.
That's
Never.
good.
and probably will end up haunting it, hopefully. I mean, honestly, I think of Beetlejuice going, hell no, I don't want to be the goddamn Maitland's going, the hell did you do to the room? What the hell did you do to that room? What were you freaking thinking? Those were gosh darn sound systems there. Were you nuts? That took time. Oh yeah, I really want to haunt a place and have that experience because that's what the hell happens in real life. The Maitland story in Beetlejuice is plain and simple. That's the truth.
Right.
You out of the house. My parents' house had this beautiful fiddle leaf ficus. It was like 40 feet. It was growing since the day I was born. It was in there and it grew in a plant. It was like maybe 3 feet by a foot wide. And it literally was growing when the house was being built. It was like 3 feet tall. My dad said, I'll leave it there. And it kept growing to the point where the thing was literally tied to the ceiling and was growing like literally through. I sold the house 20 years ago. I went back a year later to look at the house to see how it looked. The first thing I gosh darn do is I walked into the house and I noticed they took the tree down. And I'm like, you've got to be the stonedest, stupidest MA. I'm thinking, you have a huge freaking tree in your home. It's been there for 45 years. I said, how do you, and it's not just, it's not destructive. It's just there. And they took it out. I'm going, you don't know what the hell you just did. You had one of the only homes in the world with a tree growing in it, not in a planter, but in the ground underneath. It's like and I can imagine what my mother must be feeling because she was sitting there, would fight with my father through the years and saying, Paul, trim it a little. Don't take too much of it. Don't do, because my dad's like, I'm going to take it down. He's like, my mother's like, God damn you, Paul, don't you do. So I can't imagine. She died in the house. So I can't imagine that the people are now having to deal with her spirit. That must be great thing. Holy hell, going, you assholes. You took out my favorite freaking, what the hell do you think you something? That's the way I would have been if I was in her shoes. So
Yeah.
You can just see her there. Like you were crossing your arms.
I can just hear her. I can just hear saying, what the hell did you think you were doing? It was so unique. It was so beautiful. What are you nuts? Oh, so.
Well, David, I know you have something else coming up this evening that you've got to get to, so we don't want to take up too much of your time, but we so appreciate you doing this with us.
Well,
It's been so fun, and we cannot wait to come out and visit and investigate, watch the movie, all the things.
Oh, yeah, you're going to do a live stream from the house. You can write your trip off. Believe you me.
Okay.
Come on. You're going to
right?
live stream and you have a couple of videos shot up here and a few other locations in LA. Why the hell not? Then it's like, it was a business expense. Look at all the content we made from the trip. We didn't just take a vacation. We made it a vacation.
Yeah.
That is right.
The way to do it.
Jeremy, just today, he was like, what do you think? This is kind of perfect timing right now. Should we just drop everything and go to California for 2 weeks? I'm like, right now? And he's like, yeah, why not? And I'm like, oh my
God. Calling.
Just go and do. You only live once. That's one thing I've noticed. If you don't do it now, you're going to regret it sometime in the future saying, what was I thinking? It's like, yeah, what were you thinking? You take advantage of what you have. When the spirit moves you, don't fuck the spirit. Go with it.
That's what I said.
True. Again, if you make it work for you, you can make it work for you. Meaning you can go out and start figuring what locations you want to go to and shoot, make the content, make it work for you, and make it pay for itself.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no point in living if you're not making it work for you.
That's for sure.
Well, and we've made a couple new friends in Cali here recently too. So we definitely want to get out there and visit them as well. Like I mentioned before we were recording, we just recently had Jameson on. We met him at a Crypticon. And then we had G. Tom Mack, the singer and songwriter of Cry Little Sister and a ton of other things too. We interviewed him as well because we had actually messaged him to try to get the rights to play Cry Little Sister on Jameson's episode. And ended up having him come on and do an interview with us as well, which was a lot of fun. So we want to get out there and visit them and do a little something with them too. So definitely going to have to plan something soon because Callie's calling.
She's calling. You better answer and pick up quick and take it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, again, David,
Wait.
Thank you so much. And we'll have to do something again soon.
Absolutely. Hopefully out here in person.
All right.
Yes.
Sounds good,
yes.
David.
Thank
You
you.
guys have a good night. Thanks again.
You
You
too. Bye.
too.
Thanks for hanging out with us here at Total Conundrum. Please make sure to check out our website and blog at totalconundrum.com for news, upcoming events, merch, bloopers, and additional hysteria. You never know what will pop up, so be sure to follow along. If you want to show your support for Total Conundrum and gain access to all of our bonus content, please visit our Patreon page. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The links are available in our show notes. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, or stories to share, please email us at contact@totalconundrum.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate the love. Keep on creeping on, mother cluckers.